What is going on, everybody? Bobby Thigh and Eric Sheetaber. We're going to be talking through this Wednesday slate. Pretty good slate, a big slate, and a lot of big tournaments out there in the industry. So a lot going on, and there's still some projections that I think, just because we've got news already about New Orleans guys out, and I honestly have no idea even who they're going to play. My guess is that their projections are going to pop up. So this is an early first look show. Just keep in mind that in mind when we're looking at some of these projections, because I do think the New Orleans side especially is going to look a lot better by the end of the day.
Well, let's go backwards for a second.
Yeah,
I would just kind of like to read. First of all, I did win a little bit yesterday. I got like 16th or so in the alley.
Oh, beautiful.
I got like I cashed in some other stuff. I cashed in the Monster and FanDuel. So, as you'll recall, at 12 o'clock, I said, you know what we got to do? We're just got to have to play Dalton Connect.
Yeah, yeah.
And if we're not sure whether he's starting or not, we just have to make room for him somehow. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then when we went at 6 o'clock, we said the exact same thing. Okay. And it turns out I just completely forgot. And he only got, what did he only get? 10x, 12x, something like that?
Yeah, he and Westbrook, and I had a bunch of them together. I only played the lottery, but I actually finished I finished 12th on the FanDuel one, but it was in the top 5 there for a while. It looked like it had some swipes, as you would say. And I had some decent lineups, but just couldn't quite get over the top. It's hard to win those lotteries, man. There's so many.
Westbrook was a crisp 3% own.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I had 30% of that.
Yep.
So that was nice. But I'm glad you won. I was going to ask you about that, actually.
Yeah, that was without Connect.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And also he was less owned than a lot of the late stuff was less owned because even like the Brooklyn news came in so late that everybody who was like 15% owned would have been like 50 or 60.
Dude, and meanwhile, all the Brooklyn guys got there in the second half. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean they had a horrible first half and then they still got there no problem. Yeah, that was pretty wild. All right, should we pull up your screen and go game by game here?
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to be here. I was going to go actually slowly through and just go check out the projections and whatever. So yeah, I'll share this and I'll just kind of go game by game as you talk about game by game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, first up with the New Orleans thing, I think it's like one we should probably wait until the end of the show, because I think like they're already just in the last few minutes, the projections are starting to bump up, but I think that they're not ready yet.
Just speak up a little bit. I can't hear you too well.
Sorry about that. The New Orleans projections, I don't believe are. I just don't think we know nearly what we need to know yet. And I think they're just starting to come in because like literally nobody's projecting at 5x a minute ago. Now all the guys are 6x, and I think it's going to be even higher. So I would expect that number to change in the next 20 minutes even.
What? Who's out?
Everybody.
Oh my God! They got everybody out. Look at this.
They took Murphy and Ingram out as well. So it's kind of hard to imagine not. And I believe Jalen Noel was cut. That's what I heard, but I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I got to look into that.
It's quite a product they're putting out for their fans who are paying money to see them today.
It's pretty miserable. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about it.
Well, not their fans, actually. It's Cleveland fans. So I guess Cleveland fans deserve it to try to
yeah, I can't believe Cleveland is only like a 15-point favorite here. I feel like it should be like 25 or something.
What's it going to be in the second half?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Especially coming off a loss, they're going to be mad and all that.
And they fought back. They were down 20 at halftime, and they had a chance to win that game. That was pretty wild against Boston yesterday. But yeah, I just think look, Jamal Cain. I believe Matkovich, but I'm not 100% sure it's going to be him. I think that Jeremiah Robinson-Earl is going to be like a near, not a lock button play, but he's going to look like a near lock button play, I guess. And then I don't really know after that what we're going to get into because they're still projecting for Noel, but I read somewhere that he was expected to be cut. So I've got to take a look at what's going on there because he would probably be the other one I would consider, but the numbers aren't adding up right now.
Well, I don't have, I'm looking at what you're looking at here. Yeah. I guess it looks like I'm just looking at Saberson now because I had completely different projections.
Do me a favor and refresh.
Even from here?
Yeah, that's not what the projection because it'll be 6x plus on all those guys in a second.
Oh yeah. Wait. For New Orleans, let's see what they have.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, it started to change a little.
Robinson-Earl at 6x and Jamal Cain and Carlo who?
Matkovich, who I know very little about. but there's a chance they may only have 9 guys. Like on there's a projection here still for Noel, but I don't even. I'm looking at the lineups page. I don't even see Noel as being active if he's even on the team anymore. So yeah, he did get cut. Okay, there we go. Alfred Payton signed, who's probably going to play, but he's not in the player pool. That's sort of what I was under the impression of earlier. So we just have to wait a minute on the projections, really.
What a ridiculous game.
It's nuts.
I mean, you're going to play. What are you going to do? You're going to play 3 of them and hope that I would say it doesn't even matter if it stays close. They're so cheap, right? I mean,
right. It's kind of like just you gotta pay for the minutes, and none of these are like, for the most part, not great point per dollar producers. But Brandon Boston I don't know his projection. I'm telling you, it's going to change in a few minutes, but he's going to be the one who I guess has to carry the offensive load. But it's I think you got to play at least 2 of them for sure. It's going to be hard not to. And with Peyton there, that's the only thing you could talk yourself into, is that if Peyton was in the player pool, we would want to play him. But I don't know what the hell is going to happen with that.
You know what? I can't win with DraftKings. So I got a note from my host like a while ago. Ready for this? It says your DK Dynasty store has a Black Friday sale, and I could spend up to 550,000 crowns and get 50% off. But I already spend them every day. You know what I mean? Like they want you to, so I just responded to that. I said, I use up all my crowns every day. He's like, damn, okay. Well, I mean, geez, okay.
I know, it's really weird how they do some of those things.
I knew. I mean,
yeah, that'd be a different story. But
anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to end up playing at least a couple from this game, and I'm just curious to let it sort of simmer down and figure out where the projections are going to go, because I do think Peyton will end up getting run, but again, like I said, he's not in the player pool.
I mean, well, after all of that, with all the Cleveland, the dipsy-do and the projections and the change, it did. I think that Craig Porter Jr. was the one that finally did the best out of all of them, right?
Yeah, he played better, and people are saying like I'm looking at our Discord, and we got guys saying that Craig Porter Jr. is the best play on the, like he's going to be the most owned. Nobody's going to play Craig Porter Jr. And by the way, he wasn't like amazing. He put up 24, but that's good enough at his price. I just think you're going to end up with a lot of value tonight, and the real question is going to be, what are you going to do spending up?
See, and this is why DraftKings is still much better than FanDuel. The host responded, I just added 250,000 crowns to your account so you can get yourself something nice. I appreciate all your play. Isn't that nice? See, that's nice.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's like $500.
What am I going to get here? Let's see. I'm waiting for my shoe surgeon slippers that I ordered 8 weeks ago. All right. What, you like anything in Cleveland?
I have a feeling we're going to hear news about Cleveland later today. We don't know about Levert and Okoro. My first instinct is nothing from Cleveland, but again, we'll see who ends up being there. I wouldn't be surprised if they sat somebody on the second of this back-to-back, even though they've got Mitchell probable official and nothing on Garland. It wouldn't shock me if that popped up in the injury report later today, just because it would be a good time to rest after a tough game against Boston. They're going to win this game handily anyway, so I think that they're probably going to be out of there. Somebody's probably going to be out of there, which would make somebody look at. It might be Craig Porter, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm getting nothing from that side.
Yeah, certainly not at the moment. What do you think about the Chicago Milwaukee?
Yeah, so I'm getting Giannis at 11.5 is a very, very good play. I guess with all this value coming out of this stupid New Orleans game, you could probably get whoever you want. So Giannis at 11.5, it seems like a lot, but looks good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. The Chicago side, I mean, I think all these guys are okay too. Well, as far as value goes, Patrick Williams at 4,600, looks the way he always looks. Kobe White, Josh Giddey, like both of them. Had a really nice game out of Vooch the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not getting to him. Levine looks fine too. So, yeah, I mean, if you want, you could play Giannis in a couple of Chicagos if you wanted to do a little game stack there. You have all this other value that's going to make allow you to do it. So I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I agree with you. These teams Chicago plays really, really fast in general, and Milwaukee. I mean, this game has a 238.5 total. I think Levine would be the one I like the most, but I have a note of one of the Bulls, one of Levine, Giddey, White, And I think Levine will be the one I choose the most. They still play the drop coverage. It means that one of White or Levine I could see getting hot from the outside. You also have no Patrick Williams today, which means Julian Phillips, who's projected to start, is 3,200.
Oh, Patrick Williams is out. I had him as projected as good point per dollar. Okay.
Yeah. No, he's actually out. So Julian Phillips is actually the guy at 3,200 who's projected to start for him. But they'll play some Jalen Smith. They'll play some Desunmo. I think Jalen Smith and Julian Phillips are.
That was my guy from that slate where I forced him in. We got like 4 fantasy points.
Yep. Matt saying wasn't Williams ruled out. Have we talked about any Williams? Patrick Williams. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it was just a hiccup there. We got it. Some of the news is coming this morning, like a little bit before, after I did some of my research.
He's commenting on the fact that I probably said Patrick Williams was a good play.
Yeah.
And then he noticed that he was ruled out.
We could just sub him into Julian Phillips instead. All right, Indy. How about Indy and Houston? I think like there's a lot of interesting pieces here.
Well, I think that Sengun is too cheap.
Yeah.
And he's being owned as a result of it. Play him really easily. Definitely like that. Indiana, I guess you could play Halliburton too. He's always low owned. That's not bad. Any value here? Even Van Vliet's pretty good at 7,100. Now that I'm looking at this. So yeah, Sengun, Van Vliet, maybe Halliburton on the other side. That's what I got. Just normal guys.
Yeah, I like Sengun and Fred Van Vliet a little bit. It's a great, matchup against Indiana in general, and I think those are the two that I feel the best about. I do want to mention your guy Tari Eason, who's just been exploding. He was on your big lineup the other last week, and he's had some really big games. It's very fluid, like with the minutes, but if he's going to be popular, I wouldn't play him. But I do think that as a low-owned play, he definitely makes some sense. And I'm having a little trouble getting to anything from Indiana, even though I usually like playing a little bit of Halliburton. But as of right now, I don't have anybody from Indiana particularly exciting for me. All right. What do you Philly and Memphis?
I have literally nothing from this guy.
Sounds right. Maybe Jake LaRavia, but that's probably not going that much later. Brandon Clark, that's been a frustrating roster all year. If there was anything I would do, I think maybe the only problem is the back-to-back with Bane off an injury. Yeah, probably a passover, but I did consider the Bane idea. I just don't know if I'm going to actually be able to pull the trigger on a back-to-back coming off the injury. Definitely one of the less interesting games. I got Philly. What a horrible year they're having. All right, Portland in OKC.
Yeah, so one of my heroes last night was the once and future king, Jalen Williams. Man, that guy's good.
Yeah,
that guy's really good.
Really good.
This game is a 12-point spread plus. Now, currently, like my initial projections didn't have all this New Orleans value, so it's not going to be as smash of a play. I still have Robert Williams is very strong at 4,400 for Portland.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's not going to be as good maybe as some of these New Orleans guys. But right now, he looks to be my top point per dollar play. OKC, I think there's obvious blowout risk. You could play all these value guys if you want. I mean, you can play Kason Wallace. You could play, I guess, Lou Dort. Lou Dort never gets played. They bumped him up a little bit. He's 5,200 now. And I don't know if this is the game to play like Shea and Jalen Williams. I mean, they're going to probably freaking wax them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Portland's going to be able to put up enough fight to get ceilings. It's a big slate,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only thing is that Portland has been a little bit surprisingly friskier than just more competitive than I think a lot of people would have thought. And the Thunder have struggled without Chet, defensively especially. So if you take that angle, like I think you could talk yourself into I'm into the Jalen Williams a little bit again, and I think SGA also deserves consideration, but I'm a little more interested in Williams, to be honest. And on the other side, I do like getting to one of Robert Williams or Klingon. And I think Williams is going to be the more popular, but I don't mind if you want to take a pivot and go to Klingon instead. I think there's upside for both of them. And then Shaden Sharp is another name that I have written down, but I'm really not sure. It's going to depend. If Anthony Simons is out, I might be thinking about stacking this game later on, because I do think that you can, if I tell myself a story that Portland can keep it close enough, Shaden Sharp at this price, along with, one of Williams or Klingon, and then maybe you would even consider Scoot Henderson at 5,400. I probably wouldn't go there necessarily, but I do think that there is definitely some room. It's just going to depend on what happens with Anthony Simons for me. But I'm not as afraid of OKC. I mean, look, there's totally a path where they just smash them, but they just haven't looked quite as good. I mean, they lost to the Spurs yesterday, with the Spurs without Wemby and without Vassell. So I can't be that afraid of them, I guess. But maybe they bounce back and win by 30 tonight. I don't know. Here you have a great late swapping slate sheets if you want to play these later games. There's a lot.
Yeah, DraftKings really, they included these, and this would have been the day to not include them, right? Because there's like a 2-hour break.
Right.
This would actually be a good time to not include them.
I think the rule they're going with is that there's 6 games before that time, then they'll go with the 6 games. But if it has to be 6 or more, I've read that some places. I'm not sure if that's real.
But it's also a very good format for the 11 p.m. Live sweat.
Yeah, there you go. So that's right. The important stuff.
So right off the bat, which I'm going to do, by the way, there's too many good contests. There's got to be something. Right. Okay, Atlanta Golden State. I've been, it's so funny. It seems as though I didn't play Curry like a single slate last year. Mm-hmm. But I've been getting him this year. And it's what I have to say. It's kind of fun rooting for him. When you need him. Because I'll tell you, when he doesn't have it going, it's a little annoying. But when he does have it going, man, it is fun shit. It's like when he puts up like 20 fantasy points in like 4 minutes. It's like and that happens sometimes. So got a good matchup for that. He's got I presume this is, if not the biggest team total, at least close, between that and Milwaukee. Yep. So the points put up, and Atlanta hasn't really been known to stop anybody, much less Curry at that position for a long time, with Trae Young out in the court. And since DeJounte Murray's been shipped out. So, why not? I don't have him projected all that well, but hell. I got Draymond, 6,100. That's not bad. I'm getting a little projection from Trace Jackson Davis, but there's too many better plays at that price, I think. Or around that price, if you even need to do it. Andrew Wiggins, blah, So I do like both those main guys from Golden State and Atlanta. I'm not really getting much anything on Atlanta, though.
Yeah, I like the I think Curry makes sense. It's an interesting conversation, though. Like, you have Bradley Beal in the next game, and he's 9,200 versus the 9,100 of Curry. And there's no Bradley. Devin Booker. There's no Bradley Beal, and there's no Kevin Durant in the next game. So it's really an interesting thing to see Curry projecting so much better than the other side. It's the nut matchup for Curry. There's no question about that. It's a worse matchup for Booker. But that's a question I've sort of gone through in my head today, is what about the Curry or Booker thing? And as I agree that Draymond is a reasonable play in this particular matchup. I don't think I'm going to get to the Lindy Waters, even though he's looking like a decent projection right now.
What team is he on?
He's on Golden State. He's starting for them, but they play literally 12 guys.
Right.
Like, it's just hard to pay down for it, because it could be anybody on a given night. It's sort of little like a bigger version of OKC. All right, your Knicks are in Phoenix.
Yep. Okay, so let's call something what it was. So let's just do a little story. So a few days ago, I needed Cat in both the fadeaway and the alley-oop, and so I was actually watching it pretty carefully. It was the first end of a back-to-back, and they put him in a weird kind of rotation. They took him out, then they started in the second quarter, and then they didn't even let him close the second quarter, and then they ended up by only playing him 30 minutes while the other starters were playing 40. Okay, so they had a back-to-back the next day, and he was actually questionable going into that first end of the back-to-back. So I just figured that they would withhold his minutes a little bit. They'd shown that they were willing to limit him. Now, in that game, by the way, that I was referring to, they had a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, and so it's possible that they wanted to hold him off. But I presume if it got close, they would put him back in. Okay, So we came on the stream. Actually, we didn't come on the stream. I came in late, and I said, my only take is that they might be managing or at least be limiting Cat's minutes, and maybe it's just because of the back-to-back or whatever. And so a couple of the guys said, oh, we're going to bet the unders or whatever it is, and I X'd out Cat. Now, as it turns out, I think I was wrong, because what happened was he was on pace to get that fourth quarter run to put him at the 36, 37 minute mark, but the game was over. I mean, the game was they were up by like 30 going into the fourth. I don't think they had to play him at all. So he ended up only playing 25 minutes or whatever it was. So it wasn't like I was particularly right about that. It just happened to worked out that way. And to your point, I remember you mentioned the Discord. Yeah, even if they limit his minutes, he's able to get there in the limited minutes. And so both of those things were right. He didn't play that many minutes, but he basically totally smashed for the amount of minutes he played.
Yeah, he might have got like 70 if they let him go.
I mean, he could have got whatever he wanted, So now he's a couple of days off. Maybe that injury thing is kind of whatever. So I think that he's going to be back to playing 49 minutes or whatever. Listen, whatever they need him to play. It's a close spread. It's kind of weird to see the Knicks favored by 5 in Phoenix. If you want to, even though Durant is out or whatever. So I do think that Cat remains playable every day. In the current system. You know what I mean? Of him being able to be afforded max minutes. So I do like that, and I do like the Booker thing that you mentioned. And in a weird way, you're like, well, how between Booker and Curry, as a wise man once said, play them both. You can do that today, and you won't be able to play Giannis, but you could definitely do that. Grayson Allen once again is showing up as an okay value that you're probably not going to want to play, but you might end up playing. You know what I mean? Like it's so there's that. I'm not really getting anything else on the Knicks except for Cat though. What do you think of this whole game?
Yeah, like I'm only getting. I have Cat as the only one who looks like a good projection, but I just always say the same thing, that if you just set a rule to have like one Knick every day because of the minutes, with the exception of that game with Washington where we kind of thought they might blow them out. Yeah. I would say that usually it's a good idea. All these minutes and these projections are like Cat's got 32 minute projection, Brunson 34. Those could easily be like 36, 37.
Oh yeah.
And if you add that on there, so I like the idea of getting to Cat or Brunson as my favorites, but I certainly wouldn't argue with any Knick. The one thing I want to just warn people of, and I don't think Cameron Payne's going to look like a good play later today. That was literally him getting both. He played well and he got blowout run, and he still only played 22 minutes. I just think there's going to be so much value that he gets overlooked on this slate, and that's probably the right thing. I would not be trying to play Cameron Payne unless I got totally stuck there and we didn't have value. I would go for it, but I just don't think you need to. If I had to make a play for value in this game, it would be Grayson Allen. And I would consider this Iguodaro a little bit. I'm not sure what we need to do it, but he did play 32 minutes in the last game. He put up 27 fantasy points, and that was in a bad matchup. So I do have Iguodaro Iguodaro and Allen to go with the obvious Devin Booker play. I tried to talk myself into Tyus Jones. I just couldn't quite get there so far, but maybe I'll change my mind a little later because, without Beal there as well, like he's 43 to 34 the last 2 games. I think there's upside on that. So I would take a gamble with one of Tyus Jones or Booker.
Well, hang on. Let's before I didn't remember this. When you said, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to play Cameron Payne," I'm looking at Phoenix and I'm like, "Okay, is whatever out?" I'm like, "Oh my god, I totally forgot that like Payne is on the Knicks."
Yeah, I know you used to have him
going back to Phoenix.
Going back to Phoenix, maybe you do play him at what's going to be very low ownership.
I think you totally play him. I
just don't know how he gets the run unless they're blowout run, but it's possible.
Well, I mean, he comes in for Brunson and then, he plays well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, look, McBride's out, right? I mean,
yeah.
Who else is coming
in? The only other one would be that Tyler Kolek guy.
Or the Pascal Diad, whatever.
Dadier. He might play a little bit, but they're going to have a point.
I don't know. I think this is a good play.
Okay. And by the way, showing up with a decent projection early, I promise you that will not be the case by the end of the day.
And God forbid this game does blow out somehow. Then it's Ole free. Then he's going to get like 40.
That's true. He could. That's fair.
Oh, God forbid he's actually in the reserve unit responsible for the blowout too.
Oh God. Yeah. No, I see it. I can see it.
I'm down.
I'm anti it as a chalky play. I'm totally in as a low owned play.
You think he could be chalky in the 10 o'clock game with all that value earlier?
No, I don't think he's going to be, but I think the early projections had him. Like when I first looked this morning, he was like looking at 25% ownership. Now it's down to 11. By the time it gets to reality, it's going to be like 2 or 3 at the most.
So if you didn't like any of that, what about? How do you feel about what could be a 25% owned Kevin Porter Jr. At 4,200? I don't know. I mean, or like we said, or does he end up 9% because
of other stuff,
because of everything else? And why is he have such a good projection anyway? I don't know. I just literally just saw him on my projection sheet. I'm like, wow, he still plays. And then I imagine without even looking that he must have had like a good game in his last game or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only. I mean, I just don't even remember him playing. I remember Chris Dunn a couple of games ago. People were saying that he was back, and then they should be playing him. I guess. So I guess either of those two guys are. Oh my God, poor Cole Anthony. Oh my goodness, Cole Anthony's like out of the rotation, like everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
You mentioned that the other day. That's right.
Yeah, free Cole Anthony.
Orlando. I guess you're. I guess you're supposed to just play Franz Wagner every day until he's 12,000. I mean, what do you do with that? Certainly, he's not projecting well at that price. The end of a very long slate. I don't know. What do you think about this game?
I think he's Well, you got him a little lower. I think the projection is like around 50s is what it should be. I think any game that's close he's gonna be right in that 50 range if he doesn't get there. Some of these games were blow. Like he missed like what would have been the Charlotte game. He missed like an entire rut full of run, and he put up 56. He's put up 47 or more every whatever, pretty much every one. He had and then Washington they blew out also, and that was another one where he only got 41, but he would have had well over 50. I think his median should be around 50 in a game that should be close-ish, and I think Wagner is my favorite spend up on the slate. I keep saying it until he's 10K at least. I just am going to keep rolling with it and not even look back, and I haven't felt bad about it once. The Kevin Porter Jr. feels a little aggressive, maybe as a median projection of 24 when he's coming off of a 12. He did play the back-to-back after an injury, but games that were, the front end of that, he played 27 minutes. He played 24 in the other game against Houston as a little revenge game. Hasn't been incredible, but I have him on my list as a play. I don't think he's like an amazing play. I just think that he's a guy I like having exposure to because he's one of those that can end up getting like 40 if things go a certain way. He's not a guy who I expect to be in that 25 range. I think he can get 12. I think he can get 40. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, so I'm going to run a build here right now. One thing, this Orlando is this is all encompassing the projections, but it is the lowest total by just a great deal. 205 compared to the next closest one is like 213 or something like that.
I mean, can you imagine? I haven't seen a 205 game that I can think. That's a really, really low number.
In a game where Harden is playing,
Yeah, I think, and who else I like a little bit, by the way, is Zubac. I'm considering him as another play.
When does Polo play next?
Right.
Oh, here's the guy you mentioned. So Lindy Waters, it looks like. So let's see what all these who shows up and just so far 100% Giannis, 77% Jeremiah Robinson Earl. 57% the aforementioned Franz Wagner. How about that? Yep. And then Carlo Matkovic, Jamal Cain. So it's Giannis, Wagner, and 7 guys we don't know, we haven't heard of. And then there's Curry. So the point is that you could play. You don't have to worry about what Franz Wagner costs. Because these other guys are really, really cheap. Not as much Şengün or whatever. Now, I'm just curious to see what's going to happen if I run the Sims here, see if it makes much of a difference. I don't imagine much. The Sims are not really going to have a lot of impact until these ownerships just get a little adjusted,
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I'm just curious to see what happens.
Yeah.
Jalen Green, Cameron Payne, 24% in the first
Oh, my
week.
goodness. Yeah. I'm telling you, by the end of the day, no one's doing it.
You know what I mean?
I just don't think so. But I don't mind your take. The little revenge part of it.
What do you do with the New Orleans stuff? That's listen. You have to. The good thing is you have to decide that or not, like right off the bat.
Yeah, I'm gonna have at least 2 guys in every lineup. I think. I don't see how not to.
Ooh, this is kind of interesting. So, oh wow.
It dropped the.
Oh no, it didn't really. So Giannis is not. Yeah, this Robinson Earl play is just.
Yeah, and the Madkovic.
Yeah, there's no possible way. Like, I'm gonna want like 65% of anybody from that team. I don't think.
But you might absolutely like almost need to.
No, you might need to have them. Right,
not 65. I get you.
But not in 60. You know, you're gonna need to have them in the ones that you need them. You know what I mean? Like it's you can't just play 60. You can't just gamble on one of those guys, you know, or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I think you have to spread the. I think we can be safe to say that a minimum of 2 of them get 8x, right? But which 2 you don't know. I mean, the game could be a 30-point game, and then what are you doing? I mean, like you have to like actually you're trying to project who's going to be in the game. I mean, yes, you could.
Yeah, and I think Robinson Earl, we feel safe that he's actually at least going to get the minutes because he's already getting the minutes without these guys. I feel like that's the one you feel the best about. Jamal Cain will probably feel safe for the minutes, but definitely can play 30 minutes and not do anything. I'm surprised that Brandon Boston isn't projecting better, and my guess is by the end of the day he will. I don't understand this projection of him at 24 fantasy. Well, they still have Jalen Noel projected, so there's going to be a lot of changes to that Portland. I said the New Orleans side. I think you're going to see multiple players that projecting at 7x on New Orleans by the end of the day.
What did you say the deal was with the Noel?
He was cut, and they signed Elfrid Payton. That's the part that could take away from us.
Wait, hold on a second. Elfrid Payton?
Yep, he's back in there.
That is amazing.
And he's been there before. But unfortunately we can't play him at 3K. Otherwise I would just do that.
Was he out of the league or no?
I don't remember. I don't remember what the last time he played was. I know he popped up on
I don't remember the last time I played either.
Yeah, it's weird. But I think that Brandon Boston is, if they're going to keep the game close, like that's the logical guy who can at least do something.
Did you take a look at FanDuel at all?
Yeah, I did. Let me just pull up my screen on it though. I noticed that there was a couple of things that were different, but again, once we heard that news, I was just like, oh God, these projections are going to take all day to figure this out a little bit. The New Orleans stuff. Yeah, Robinson Earl's 4,500 over there. I think he's going to look amazing. Kane is basically the minimum, and he's going to look amazing. But in terms of, and I think Giannis will be 1,000,000% owned over there as well. I think Wagner will be really popular. I think that you could get lower ownership. Well, maybe not lower. Yeah, I think Devin Booker's going to look pretty good actually over there. So I think you're looking at the same. It feels like a lot of the same guys over there, to be honest with you. There wasn't as many differences as I thought at first. I think things have evened out a little bit now. Damian Lillard is looking like he's going to be pretty popular tonight. I didn't really get there myself, but I don't know.
On FanDuel, currently 41% Cameron Payne.
Wow, this Payne thing is really happening for you.
But this is with SaberSim's projections, not mine.
I know. It's wild. Hey, maybe just let it cook. That would be quite the move on a slate like tonight. You just lock in campaign and see what else happens. You're just playing for the campaign in Phoenix game.
I ain't playing for the late sweat. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
You play campaign, Curry, Booker. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? And you can play Craig Porter Jr. if you want. Whatever.
Yeah, we'll see. And I'm telling you, just don't be surprised if you see guys pop up on the Cleveland injury report today. I just got a feeling it's going to happen after that loss yesterday. And who they're playing. I mean,
all right. So listen. So it's a 7:30 start. So we could go at 6:30, 6:45.